What is up, risk takers? Welcome to the Kill Pete Strategy. I am Pete. I'm a top player in Risk Global Domination. I have a daily release on YouTube. I'm doing weekday streams on Twitch for the winter. If you are interested in getting better at the game of Risk, I invite you to subscribe to my show. Come along the ride with me. We have a lot to talk about this week. So, doing this one live on Twitch with 150 of my friends. And check it out, folks. SMG has given the old Peteman some free shit. And who doesn't like free shit? Perfection! New free dice. Cats may have 9 lives, but they have 6 sides too. I like it already. Last week, Risk content creator Pete from the Kill Pete Strategy took on the dev team in an FFA battle for world domination. And if you haven't seen it, it's posted on my YouTube. Go check it out. During the game, Pete showcased a new Pete-inspired dice, which was well received by viewers and is utter perfection. Keen to add this to your collection? Log into Risk Tuesday, 7th of March at 3:30 UTC, 10:30 AM EST to claim the new free dice. Only available for 24 hours. So what I'm going to do, I love the exclusivity. What I'm going to do is I'm going to ping the GM server, and I also need to remind myself to do an announcement on my own server so that folks who would like to get the dice will have a little bit of a notification and a chance to do it. So where do I do this? First thing I'm going to do, announcement for the dice today only. And if you are on the GM Arena, I'm just going to ping it. So forgive the ping. Get your Pete-inspired dice today only. Perfection. Log into Risk and you'll get it. Okay. Thank you, SMG. I think it's awesome. You got a little Reginald sleeping there on top, and you got my buddy Jerry chasing the yard on the other side. It's awesome. I'm very happy that SMG is chatting with us now, and we're going to keep that ball rolling in the right direction. All right, folks, we have a lot to talk about, as I said. So where were we? So last week we had update 3, version 3.10. So changes to the game, the ability to communicate in the lobby now. So there is an entire menu. I can show you guys, actually. There's an entire menu if you go into game. You'll see, if I go into any random lobby, let me find something that won't fill quite so quickly. If you go into any random lobby, you have the ability in the bottom left here, which you can't see because I'm blocking it, ability in the bottom left to communicate. So you can actually emote, and you can put all sorts of chat options. Not ready, start game, good luck, let's go. Add a bot, remove a bot. I'm using touch controls. Why not now, 001? Let's go. Okay. So that is a cool addition. The ability to communicate in the lobby is useful because I know a lot of people are on different sides of the I want bots, I don't want bots issue. Thank you, Crackle, for the resub. Perfect dice indeed. Thank you so much. It just shows up when you log in. Yeah. Welcome to the chat. Sugar honey iced tea sounds delicious. So the ability to communicate in the lobby, more dice, death squared dice, other extras, updated visuals in the shop for premium, back button will direct to the game mode screen regardless of which screen the players come from, bug fixes, fix the rank decay issue causing players to be reset to the incorrect rank, fix the resistor is feudal territory cards not connecting to the territory shapes, and fix the up and down key arrows to make manual rolls look like blitz rolls. Okay, so that is update 3.10. As I had already stated, we played the devs last week. 2 main takeaways that I'm going to focus on from our conversation. Number 1, there is no current plan for the devs to continue to work on improving the ranking system. So given that, I have decided to fully back the Saber system, and we're going to talk about and iterate a player-run ranking system for Risk rather than hoping and waiting. for SMG to make a ladder. And obviously, when we have a ladder that is fair and more representative of skill, that would be great and it would be a better game. But until we do, I think it's wiser that the players just take it into our own control, own responsibility to rank ourselves. And that's why I'm really happy to see and support what Saber is up to. I'm going to make a thread probably on my Discord, and we'll have a council of people who know what they're talking about, we can iterate a ranking system. He's using tennis as a model, but we spoke about that last week. So yeah, we had the Devs versus Pete Q&A. We had the finals of the Risk World Championships. Let me bring up the spreadsheet for that. So congratulations to our 6 finalists. I did the cast with the TO, tournament organizer of the Bull, and Escape the 4Z. I'm trying to find the spreadsheet. Why can I not find the old spreadsheet for that? Where is it? Why am I so bad at this stuff? There it is. Okay, folks. Congratulations to our 6th finalists. EG Sneaks, One Shot, Stay Facto, Zombie, Saber 555, and General Baines 157, placing in first place overall. There was over 1,000 competitors, and it is incredible to see all these 6 guys. As I said, they should think of themselves as champion. Congratulations to first place General Baines. Congratulations second place Saber. Congratulations third place Zombie, and all of our finalists. You guys did amazing, and I can't wait to fight my way up against you guys next season. Very cool, successful tournament. Puts a smile on my face to see that competitive Risk is growing. Okay, and then moving on to thank you, Caesar. I always watch for going to bed. It's not much, but it's honest work. I appreciate it, man. I'm so glad you enjoyed the show. Thank you. Favorite Risk customizations, trick or treat signups. Here we go, folks. Check this out. Risk FFA Classic World Championship Season 1. This is the first ever Classic tournament using the Classic map. We know that Classic is far and away the most popular map, and having a competition on only Classic would be, I'm guessing, a very popular one. We'll see how it goes. Sign up for the Classic tournament. Get on the Risk Discord if you aren't already. I don't understand why you wouldn't be, but join the community, join the competition. I'm expecting the Classic tournament to be a very well attended tournament. And if you look at this, another thing I want to show you guys, we have Reminder Update 3.0. We have the Risk Classic FFA World Championship Season 1 in the game. So as much promoting as I might be able to do, I think that SMG taking up promoting our competitions for us is an excellent, excellent move. And it's going to be potentially very explosive for the growth of competitive Risk. Join in to compete against the best Risk players in the world and have the chance to win epic rewards. All games will be played on Classic map, 4 to 6 players. On simple old school settings, players will be given the opportunity to engage in VC, optional, bringing back Risk's hallmark feature of verbal negotiation, conflict, and betrayal. All ranks, novice to Grandmaster, are welcome to participate, and places will fill on a first-come, first-served basis. The meaning of this is there is no hard cap on the total number of players, but I think it has to be divisible by 6 because of the structure of the tournament, and you'll see the way it goes. This is the prizes. You get first place 1,000 gems, 1 month Discord Nitro, and a verified badge. Second place 5,000, third place 2,500, run by the community. Thank you, everyone. Best of all. Yeah. So the way Sterling is doing this, Sterling is our tournament organizer for this one, is single player advances per game, and we will be playing 3 games a week. And if you win the first one, you advance. You win the second one, you advance. You win the third one, you advance. So every round is a 50% cut. Okay? Okay. Our next topic of conversation. It's awesome. Yeah, it's awesome that SMG is working more with the community now. I'm very, very happy to see SMG working with us. It means a lot to me, guys. You can tell I really love this game, and I'm getting right into the nitty gritty with it all. Okay, so what else can I tell you? We had week 1 of the Grandmaster tournament. So week 1, settings were played similarly, single player advances. So settings for week 1, Maul the Dead 70, which is the game that I was able to advance on. Round 2 was Atlantis Zombies. Round 3 was 70% domination. The winner of each of these games. So game 1 was a 6-player game. Game 2 was a 5-player game. Game 3 was a 4-player game. This week we are in round 2. Round 2, game 1 is 70% Rivertown Advance. Round 2, game 2 is 70% Bohus. And game 3 is Boston Zombies First to Die modifier and Assassin modifier on the game 2. And I love Assassin, so that's going to be a ton of fun this week. I am playing, if you guys want to tune in, I am playing on Friday, 10 a.m. my time, Eastern Standard, 1500 UTC. I will be streaming live on Twitch. Hopefully, we get it in one game, but as you guys can see, I got some stiff competition. This is the Grandmasters tournament, so the floor is already quite high, facing off against LaShonda Zeppelin, Miles 69, 69-6, PF and Flash, Riedel, and Von Agarwal. Some friends of mine in there, I wish them the best of luck, and we'll see how we do in week 2. Also, this is the exhibition week for Risk Legends. So if you aren't familiar with the Legends tournament, Spud on the Potato Paradise server is the host of the Risk Legends tournament. This is the qualifying round, so no points are actually on the table, but we have... it's just to get everyone to try and mitigate the no-shows, right? We have in our group playing tomorrow, Wednesday 2000, which is 3 p.m. my time. Also, I will be streaming on Twitch, so you guys can come check me out tomorrow for the Legends competition. Legends has VC, but this round is for no points. Just whatever settings we do. I'm facing off against Cutthroat, Millions, OIS in V62, Matthew, and Nuclear Demonstration. Best of luck to all of you guys. I believe this concludes the Risk News portion of the show, and we're going to move on into the Q&A. All right, so as I always like to tell you guys, I would love to be able to answer everyone's questions in Twitch chat. I would love to be able to answer everyone's questions in YouTube comments. But the way that I have decided I can add it into my workflow is by using this process. Thank you, Afro Ninja, for the gift subs. Thank you so much, bro. The way I can answer Q&A questions is come on down to the Kill Beat Strategy Discord, put your questions in the Q&A thread, and I will answer it in priority sequence. We have a priority thread for those who are boosting the server, and those will get answered ahead of the queue. So I appreciate it if players, I think I can, yes, I can put some game sense on that one. Okay. So where we left off was a question from Spudley. I don't know if Spud is still in the Twitch chat, but he would like to know, hey, Pete, we all know you love verse tournaments. I sure do. Which one is your favorite? If you can't decide on a singular favorite one, give them a scale from 1 to 10. I know what he wants me to say. I'm going to say what Spud wants me to say before I give the Weasley Pete answer. It's obviously the Risk Legends tournament is my favorite because I love you, Spud, and I love your server. And I'm really, really grateful for what you do for the game. But my real answer is I'm so happy to see more Risk tournaments. And I've really wanted to be a part of helping grow the competitive Risk scene. So given all that, I don't need to play favorites. I will play in whatever I can get my hands on at this point, because I'm very interested in testing my mettle against some of the best players in the world. And of course, some of them will show up to Legends, some of them will show up to the World Champs, the Classic Tournament. There's all sorts of cool stuff going on. There's The zombie server as well. So really, really great to see at the moment. A ton of options for people for competitive Risk. Our next question is from Bagel. Pete, spelt like Pete Moss. What do you think of when you see other gaming communities with rampant toxicity, brackets, racism, sexism, disrespect, etc.? Is there even a solution to this problem? It might sound trite, but the Gandhi quote comes to mind. Be the change you wish to see in the world. So there is ancient wisdom associated with the golden rule: treat others as you would like to be treated, or the way Kant, Immanuel Kant, 17th century German philosopher, posed it as the categorical imperative. Act according to that maxim that you would will it to be a universal law. The best way we can build a community and build a culture is to assume that we are as culpable as everyone else in that culture. So what do I think of when I see other gaming communities? I don't really participate in communities that are lost, that are too toxic and beyond reproach. But when I came around to the Risk community, I found it to be a place that wasn't like that. And some of the very best people were in charge. And I thought that was awesome. I thought I wanted to stick around. And then I thought I wanted to be a part of that, right? And now that I am helping build this community, our community, I think about it a lot. And I think about how I behave and how I could possibly behave more or less toxic. I try to exemplify the virtues that I would aspire to hold, knowing full well that we all fail and we're human and we're broken. But we try our best. So those are my thoughts. Is there a solution to the problem? It's up to you, how you behave, right? We can exclude those who are irredeemable, right? There are certain words that you just can't say because of the nature of the platform, but also the medium is the message. So the way we use social media in this regard can lend itself to toxicity. So you have to be very careful to put yourself in an empathetic space where you can find love for the person that you're talking to and arguing against, right? This person might just be looking for attention. They might be lonely. They might be sad. They might simply be a troll just trying to get a rise out of you, right? And another rule I really like to live by is don't feed the trolls. So we try our best. We don't always succeed, but we try our best. Okay. Yo, Pete, kiss from France. Mwah. What's the French kiss? Oh, we can't do that on camera. I love you too. Okay. Our next question also from Spudley. Hey, Pete man. With the new lobby update, will you be using that to try and build alliances early? He thinks I'm some sort of schmoozer. That's not how I am, man. That's not how I am at all. Hey, Stay Clammed, if you want to throw that question in the KPS Discord Q&A, I can get to it. He's just asking about how you can avoid stalemate situations. Sometimes you can't. Spoiler alert, sometimes you can't. Okay, will I try to build alliances early? I don't try to build alliances. What do you mean? I'm everyone's friend already. I don't need to build them. I just start out that way. Okay. Our next question is also from Bagel. Hello. What are your opinions on universities, mostly US, raising tuition costs exponentially, causing many to be buried in student loans they might never pay off? Very, very important question. And I'm going to give this an infographic. All right. Let's see if this is it. Okay, check it out, guys. This is Bagel's point. Less education for your buck. College tuition since 1980 has gone up more than 1,000%. Okay. So 100% is a doubling. So what is this? This is more than 10x in what is essentially a generation, right? I was born in 83. So in the course of my life, I would have been in school here right before the inflection. So when you see and hear folks talk, you see how it's a bit of a dog leg, right? How the angle gets sharper right around when I left university. I finished university about 20 years ago. So the thing is, even back then, there was a ton of conversation about student debt relief and tuition rates. And there's a couple of problems with this. So one of the major problems is you were always buying into an upper class, right? University was never about what you learned because you could sit in those classes for free. But it was about buying that piece of paper that qualifies you for a higher wage and right, and then some and so forth. So the way the US does it, for those who don't know, is laughably idiotic. The way the US does it is you can't discharge student loans in bankruptcy. So it is effective slavery, right? If you want to try and buy yourself into this upper class, you can never escape the debt slavery. It's shocking. A lot of countries have some sort of socialized element where they help support their kids through higher education. In Canada, specifically. So my story is I graduated high school early and I worked. And while I was in university, I worked. And I never borrowed money for my philosophy degree, which qualifies me to mow lawns. Who the fuck uses a philosophy degree for anything? But I digress. I'm grateful I went to school and I dropped out and I went back to finish and I didn't go into debt for it. Now, the people who are going into debt for nonsense art degrees, and there's all sorts of categories now. Also, the bloat in the administrative burden, right, is all contributing to this, to what we see. Similarly to the housing market, maybe I can bring up this graphic too. I wonder if the housing market, house prices versus inflation, because I bet you it would be correlated. So if we see house prices and the cost of higher education increase faster relative to inflation, what is essentially happening is more and more middle-class people are getting squeezed out of their ability for upward mobility. Didn't mean to make that a rhyme scheme, but you take my point, right, folks, that we are in a situation where social class is becoming more entrenched. Okay, let me just make sure I answered Bagel's question. What are my opinions? My opinions are kids today looking to go into Hawk for a nonsense art degree that doesn't qualify them for a specific job. The situation with employment has changed. You are likely still buying into an upper class, but if and only if you have a guaranteed job out of that degree after the fact. Great question. I could talk about this forever, as you can tell. I have a lot of thoughts about it. Bagel would also like to know, Pete, when will we get a drunk stream? Probably never. I wouldn't say never, but not anytime soon. With an obligatory best clips video posted to YouTube. The thing is, guys, I'm working right now. And what I say, the quality of my speech is very important to me. I take this work more and more seriously because I have a responsibility to you, the viewer, to make the best show I can make. So if I am derelict in my duty to you, the viewer, because my lips are too loose because of the truth serum of alcohol, you got to bear in mind, right? YouTube is not a free speech platform. Twitch is not a free speech platform. And I need to be careful not to say the wrong thing. And that's not to say I don't endeavor to speak as truly and honestly as I can, but there are simply things I cannot say, and I would worry about putting myself in an awkward position. Making a very fair point. Thank you, Kyle. Yes. So drinking on stream, while fun, I prefer to have my fun off camera. And I've also had issues with alcohol in the past, right? I wouldn't say I was ever an alcoholic per se, but there was a point in my life where I was drinking every day. So I take my substances very intentionally now. When I choose to drink, it is not just a casual decision. It is like, this is the opportunity. I am going into it. I'm going to have this fun experience, and I'm going to pay some sort of biological cost for that, right? You can't just drink every day. Your life turns out bad for your health. Thank you, the Stuff of Legend. Stuff O Legend with the Prime sub. Thank you. You could have used it anywhere. You used it here. Thank you. Our next question, and that's not to say never, Bagel. I might do it for you, but I'm not ready. Not ready quite yet for that. Our next question is from Hunter4525. Peteman. I'm sure this has been asked before my time, but what did/do your friends and family think of being a professional Risk player? Oh my goodness gracious. Yeah. Well, I speak about it with my father a lot. Last night included. We went over there I went over there for dinner, and my mom made me lamb chops, and she gave me a painting. And I speak with this to my father, and he is, if I'm shocked that I'm successful at this, he is even more so, right? We just don't get it. We didn't grow up with this medium as a possibility. So he's always waiting for the shoe to drop. He's like, when is this gonna, right? When is it gonna be enough? And I'm just like, nah, it's still growing, right? Things are still good. So we'll see. What do they think? They're happy for me. It's a really, really cool job to have, right? I love talking. I love talking about just about anything. I find almost everything interesting, and I love connecting with you guys. So what do they think? Okay, I'll answer it just in one more way. A lot of my friends that I've spoken with over the years that I've been doing this and making this video work, a lot of my friends come to me with this kind of attitude that, yes, it is inevitable that I would be successful at it, which I think is very interesting to me because it never occurred to me that I have these abilities or whatever, that I would make an appealing show. But here we are. So why would I not want to lean into it with all of my zeal and see how far we go? And yeah, I feel super, super blessed in every way that you guys like the show and want to watch it. So thank you. I mean it. I say it. I try to say it as much as I can. But thank you. Our final priority question is from Waffles. Waffles would like to know, how can we best rattle the fix the goddamn slider change the devs now that they've come during the Q&A saying it isn't a priority for them? Exactly. Okay. Another reason I wanted to do this show. I wanted to do a weekly show where I go over the news and Risk, the news of the day, is to promote tournaments, to consolidate the information, and this reason, what you're bringing up. How do we as a community get what we want? How do we make the devs realize that we want it? Well, what we need to do is we need to upvote the idea. So if we go to Risk Ideas, I think this was months ago already. It was about the slider. I did a video. I included it in a video at the time. I'm going to try and find it right now because I'm curious to see how many upvotes it has. But I don't know exactly how long ago it was. It was posted by Jack6 in Risk Ideas. Hey, stay clammed. Thank you for the tier 1 sub, man. Appreciate you very much for Risk Ideas in the main Discord. Yeah, this is our mechanism. SMG has explicitly said that they will read these upvotes. And what I want to do with this show is I want to get us all on the same page so we all mass upvote the thing that we want, right? I could be like, I want this, I want that, but I don't actually care what I want because I recognize SMG's point that I am a very, very tiny minority. But we are powerful if we work together. I'm still waiting to find this. If anyone could find it for me, I'd be super grateful. I think we're getting close, though. There's so many risk ideas. That's why. Another thing is SMG is inundated with nonsense. I think anything that is too heavily downvoted should be removed from risk ideas because it's just noise to signal, right? They can't be expected to read through all of these nonsense or joke suggestions, right? You're adding garbage and you're making the process worse. Let me see if okay. I'm sorry. This is bad TV. If someone can find this risk idea for me, and then we can get back to the Q&A. But basically, it's in regards to the slider. And the long and short of it is we need the slider to default to 100% to take, not 100% of stack. Because if you roll 100% of your huge stack into tiny numbers, you can lose 4 or 5 troops, which is ridiculous and never would happen, but it is an idiosyncrasy of the way balance blitz works. Okay? And I've posted about this, and we should post about it again, and we should absolutely magnify and upvote the shit out of this one risk idea so that they hear it. It comes to their radar, and they fix it. And thank you, Waffles, for the question. Now moving on into the regular Q&A thread. And we left off on a bit of a doozy. So, Bertalisk asked 4 questions, and I think we got to the first 2 of them. He was asking about turn order. He was asking about cards. We answered that. Game analysis. Regular reviews following a particular player or all players, analyzing their decisions through a game. This would be interesting for early rounds of a tournament. Could generate more tourney hype. Would be interesting with different guests with varying viewpoints, what the best play is. It doesn't have to be newer players either. Even GMs in finals make mistakes or bad moves or miss things. Yes. I plan on incorporating more game analysis into the show. December 15th. Thank you, Smash Gaming. Let's just put a pin in this question. December 15th. Appreciate you. Okay, so if you go on down to risk ideas, folks. Yes, there it is. Appreciate you. Go on down to risk ideas, and you will see on December 15th, 155 upvotes. In balance splits, when you attack with more troops than the minimum amount required for 100% win chance, you can lose slightly more troops on average. This is well known. This is unexpected behavior due to the way balance blitz algorithm tweaks the number of troops lost and left. Can currently be prevented by always slider blitzing with the minimum. Here's the thing. We know that the strategically correct decision is always to slider blitz 100% to take. But we don't necessarily need to incorporate a mechanical, technical skill, which isn't strategically interesting because it's always the same thing. So it's just a default design thing. If you have a better default, which would be having the slider default to 100% to take rather than 100% of stack, it would solve the problem automatically for us and remove this mechanical skill gap from the game, right? Risk, in my opinion, should not be a game of who can click the fastest, and should much more be a game of who has the best strategy, right? Okay, thank you. Now, going back to, please upvote that. It's at 157 upvotes. 157 check marks not on their radar? No, we don't know whether or not it's on their radar, right? We don't know for sure. We'll get more. Don't worry. That's why I'm doing this show, right? We need more. Give us more votes. If you guys care about this stuff and you're listening to me talk right now, just throw a little thumbers uppers. What was that, December 15th? There you go, guys. We'll get it done. But we have to work together on this, and we have to focus on one thing at a time. Right? There is so much complexity creep, and there's so much scope creep in this conversation. So, being that I am sitting on the nexus of messaging as much as I can, that is my rationale. Doing my part. Thank you, Adam Daniels. 158. Let's go. Let's go. Very nicely done. All right. Fourth question for Bertalisk. He would like me to talk more about the early games. This is arguably the most important part of the game. You can even analyze the first 35 turns of a few different games. Thanks in advance. Yes. I am cognizant of the types of things people consistently request from me, and I am always using that to try and iterate my show to a better show that is more educational for you. Hey, welcome in, Zug. First time in the stream. Welcome, welcome. I'm trying to iterate it to a better show so I can help teach you guys, so you enjoy the content, right? Taking it all under advisement. And I know I've been putting out a lot of competitions because that's where my interest lies at the moment, not playing a ton of ranked, but quicker, more tutorial style, more analytical style, how to get better at XYZ skill. Absolutely something that I've been thinking about improving and iterating. Okay, and thank you, Bertalisk, for the questions. I'm just going to refill my cup of coffee, and I will be right back. All right, folks. Our next question is from G-Man Gaming. Hi, Pete. I sometimes hear you talk about different AI bot out activities, not the toggle in the settings. The toggle he means is the difficulty, right? Easy, medium, hard, expert. What are the types of bots? How do you identify them? And how do you vary your expectations / play? The one key bot, the one most important bot to keep track of is what I call the Rampage AI bot. So what it would do, okay, so in this game we are seeing the blue player started the game as an AI, right? You guys see this little AI icon at I can't draw on video. That's too bad. Trying to use the screen marker. Okay, so you see the little AI icon on the blue player. It means he started the game as bot. And blue player has a kind of expansionist plan. The most significant one to pay attention to is the Rampage bot, because they stack on a single territory, they attack in a straight line, and then they reinforce all their troops to the head of the army. And it then goes punch, punch, punch next turn as well. And it will basically slam anything in its way. It sometimes will take the lane of least resistance, but not always. And if you can point that sucker at one of your enemies, they will be heartbroken. I think the way you get to these questions, or you get to these AI types, is SMG has a forum. And you can, I don't know the link to it. Maybe someone in my chat does. But SMG has a forum where they actually go over all of the. Ooh, maybe I can get it. Maybe I can get to it from fandom. Fandom risk. Zeraki's wiki. Risk Global Domination fandom. If you aren't aware of the Risk wiki, it's actually very useful for this sort of stuff. Now, how do I search it? Because I need to find the bot types. Info and gameplay. Their ID. It's somewhere in there. It's somewhere. Okay. Our next question is from Miyoe. Two-part question. I do believe new game modes are more important than fixing the ranking system. Okay, so we disagree. I love playing the modern board game, and good ones always have a myriad of options to build out, position, and gain advantage. This makes every turn engaging. Failure to optimize often means losing. There are definitely never any rewards for being passive and skipping. Right now in Risk, the things that make it fun are capturing bonuses and making kills. In my opinion, the game could be so much better if there was a combination of attack incentives. Would I agree that attack incentives are crucial to the game? I mean, it's just a different game. More modes are better than less. All right, the game we have has some amount of attack incentives. With our tournaments, we use point structures to do that to some extent. Patience is always an issue. Would I agree that attack incentives are crucial to the game? Well, no, because if they were crucial to the game wouldn't be successful. So the current incentive with risk attacks is that you get an attacker's advantage probabilistically with the dice. But the downside, of course, is that because it is a free-for-all game, so this isn't inherent to Risk, this is inherent to all free-for-all games. Right, if you stick your neck out too far, you end up in a situation where, sure, you can make that one kill, but then someone else kills you, right? It's a very common sort of thing, particularly in fixed, but also very much a thing in progressive. If the community would be able to work out what the best mode is to add to the game, we'd make it much easier on the devs instead of letting them fly blind. Agree with that completely. Having options suggested on the Discord and voted up by the community seems like the optimal solution. Yep. Do you feel like they would be better at coming up with new game modes with or without input? No, they would be worse. We absolutely, positively, as a community, could crowdsource one or two great new game modes and offer it up to the devs and say, this is the one that we, the community, have chosen. And we highly recommend that that be considered added to the game at some point. Okay. Yay, I got the peace dice. Now I am happy. Well, I'm so glad. So glad. One day only, folks. One day only to get your Pete dice. Log into Risk. Get those kitties. Our next question is from Vegard. Hey, Pete. You know what? I'll just finish one more thing, Millie. So the issue is, the way I see it is this. Risk has more modes. Risk could have more modes. Risk could have more toggles. But the ranking system is and has been bullshit. For the entire time that I have been in the game, including the point where I ranked up to number 1 with a big ol' asterisk next to my name. I would much rather be a real number 1, or at least have the potential to be a real number 1. Speak of the devil, eh? Hi, beautiful. Thank you, Saber. Speak of the devil, which is why I have come to the point with the conversation around the ranking system that I am going to fully support the Saber system and help him iterate it to something that we recognize as legitimate in the community, rather than waiting and hoping for SMG to give us something that would do as such. Okay. The reason I think that's more important than adding things to the game is because if you don't have a number underneath your name when you're playing Risk, let me show you guys this. This is actually very instructive. There was a step, in my opinion, in the very opposite wrong direction. Right here. You see this? What is this? Right here. What is this? What does this mean? How many people are above me? How many people are below me? I don't know. Okay? Bad. Also, what is this? I don't know. Assume I'm a noob. What does this mean? Right? Then, instead of seeing a single number underneath your name, which should be this, by the way, which should be your FFA rank only, because almost nobody cares about your 1v1 rank, so I don't know why it defaults to this uploading. Let me give you an example. So I'm a Grandmaster in 1v1s. Let's take a look at the ladder. How many people are ahead of me in the 1v1 leaderboard? I'm Threshold Grandmaster. Okay, there's 200 people ahead of me on the leaderboard. Out of a population of how many users of this game? 200 people care more about being a 1v1 Grandmaster than Pete, right? That is a tiny population. It's so tiny that it's almost not worth talking about, and I can't believe we're still talking about it. Enough about pretending that 1v1s are important or pretending that 1v1s are Risk. They are a tiny fraction of Risk. Now, here's what we should care about, though. This number. And it doesn't even show me. It doesn't even show me what my rank is. I have to go, look at what I have to do to figure out what my rank is on the ladder. I have to click on Pete, because this, first of all, I have to click this off. Okay, so this is the home screen. I want to know what rank I am. Instead of having a number right here, a big old number that says you're at this spot on the ladder, you first have to click off the 1v1 BS that nobody cares about. You have to click on FFA. Okay, so my FFA skill points are 26,130. Then I go into that and I figure, okay, what does that mean? Then I click on the leaderboard and I find out, okay, I'm not top 1,000. Okay, so I'm not plus 999. So then I have to go here in order to figure out what my rank is. I'll tell you. I have to go onto a website. I have to input my player ID code up at the top. And then I can scroll down and find my rank, which is currently 1,450. So again, I'm Threshold GM on this account. And there are almost 1,500 people above me relative to the 200 people who play 1v1s. So that's the ratio of GMs, okay? This is the difference in how much people care about this and how much we should care about it, right? It is a 1,500 to 200 ratio. So 750, right? My math is terrible. You guys take my point. This is way too many steps to find this number, which is the number I want to know, and the number that should be right underneath my name on the main screen. I'm sorry. I got on a bit of a tangent with this, but you guys can tell this is something I care about. So I just wanted to make it very clear why I feel the way I feel. Thank you. 7.5. 7.5 to 1. 7.5 to 1 more GMs for FFA than 1v1. Yeah, 1450 get good, mate. I've played one game on this account. I've played one ranked game since the update because I don't care, because it's nonsense. It doesn't mean anything. There's no incentive. The incentive for me to play ranked is gone. And that sucks. Because I used to love playing ranked. I used to love challenging myself to improve. And I got a ton of investment in the game out of noticing my improvement. And I think the purpose of a ranking system, we get too philosophical about it, but you ask yourself, what's the purpose of a ranking system? Well, there's two. One of them is to measure who's the best. But I think a very important and often underestimated Very important. Number 2 is to keep your players playing, because people enjoy watching the skill acquisition. They enjoy improving, right? It is a hook for your game to have a ranking system, and it would be a much better hook if it worked. Okay, moving on from the subject. Vagard would like to know, hey, Pete, as someone who comes from a Scandinavian country, I have quite a different experience with a Western-style democracy than you seem to. Okay. Still, the Norwegian government and those of the Anglo communities are built on the same principle of separation of power, with an executive government and parliament ran by an elected political class. I was wondering, do you believe that the elements of governments of the Anglo countries that you see as corrupt are either present or inevitably will be in all current Western-style democracies? Okay. The corruption of representational democracy was necessary for democracy for much of its existence. When you're trying to govern a large population and you're trying to give those people some amount of a say, you have to compromise somewhere. Now, before there were phones, how could you get legislation passed that was at all representative of the will of the people? You needed to put trust and hope in an individual that they wouldn't just self-interestedly fuck you. But guess what? I happen to have a representative that can't fuck me because it is controlled by me. So why can't I choose? Why can't I sit in a digital legislature and speak democratically with my own voice? I know I've harped on about this a ton. So I apologize to my viewers who see this as a rehash, but I'm trying to answer your question. Thank you, Healer, for the donate. So I love your content, Pete. Thank you so much for everything you do, Healer. Thank you. Much appreciated. I'm so grateful for the support, guys. You guys keep me going. It means a lot to me. So I try to say it as much as I can, but thank you so much. So all that to say, Vagard, is that we find ourselves in a situation where politicians are self-interested to the point where their goal is to get reelected. So they will do and say whatever they need to do to get reelected. There's no way to decouple the self-interest here. So it is a structural flaw to representative democracy. Now, we can't have a conversation about redesigning the system because those who create the system have a vested interest in the institutional inertia of that system, right? Why, if you were one of these political class, would you want to give up the ability to vote yourself a raise or vote your give your cronies juicy, non-competitive government contracts? Why would you give that up, right? Why would you want to lose the ability to completely lie to get elected, right? Imagine if politicians were legally obligated, contractually obligated to keep their word. What kind of world would that look like, right? But we can't talk about the redesign of the system. I'm not sitting here presuming to tell you that I have all of those design answers solved. All I am saying is we must have a conversation about the system design, because otherwise you have an accidental emergent system and there's all sorts of negative downstream consequences from that, right? Non-priced in externalities. You have things like the environment being a non-priced in externality. You have, imagine that the world is a system. This is why I love talking about Peter Joseph. If you guys don't know, I am very much a fan of, he's probably my favorite living philosopher. I think I'm going to do a course on the philosophy of Peter Joseph on my second channel. He's just a great systems thinker, and his approach is very much trying to talk about political and economic and social issues from a systems-based approach. It's brilliant. I love it, and I want to help promote. FF Pastor says yes, he is good. You like him too. Peter Joseph is originally the filmmaker who came up with the Zeitgeist films. If you don't know Zeitgeist, there's three. There's Zeitgeist, Zeitgeist Addendum, and Zeitgeist Moving Forward. And more recently, he came out with a book called The New Human Rights Movement. I'm a big fan, so I think we'll get into more detail about that. I have a second channel up, folks, so I'm going to start populating that with videos as well that aren't strictly Risk. Okay. So I hope that answered your question. I think the notion of representative democracy is archaic and dead and dying. And I think the way of the future is distributed decision-making as opposed to executive leadership-based decision-making, because in 2023, the idea that a single tribal chief runs a multinational corporation or a nation, some guy gets to decide, or woman, some person gets to decide, is suicidally insane. Our world is far too complicated for that, and it is time we transcend having a chief in charge of anything. Come on, guys. Let's grow up. Hey, Bagel's in the chat. Did you like my answers? I hope I answered your questions well. Okay. Our next question is from Frantic Scorpio. Hey, Pete. Just come from listening to your thoughts on not having masses of people testing risk settings for tournaments, and it sparked an interesting thought that I would like you to explore if you wouldn't mind, as I know exactly where he's going. Does it occur to you that this reasoning, the reasonable expectation that people aren't necessarily going to know what they're talking about, as far as tournament settings, is a similar line of reasoning for those in politics to justify their own role in representational-based government? Excellent criticism. This is how I want to have these conversations, because he's critiquing my idea without attacking it or me. I love this. Thank you, Thomason Smith, with the tier 1. I agree with your logic regarding democracy. Thank you, man. So, let me finish reading the question. Already, I love it so far, Frantic. This is really good. Really good criticism. Okay, so does it occur to you that this reasoning, the reasonable expectation that people aren't necessarily going to know what they're talking about, I'm paraphrasing, is a similar line of reasoning for those in politics to justify their own role in representational-based governance, something you've expressed disdain for? It is, of course, far from a perfect microcosm, but I think the parallels can provoke an interesting thought exercise more than just their different circumstances, which, of course, is not a wrong answer by any means. Your thoughts would be appreciated. So here is the salient difference. When we are talking about technical expertise, that is a bona fide job criteria. Okay? So someone who would have technical expertise to choose risk settings would be someone who would be a top player and someone who can see many iterations of the possible settings, because maybe these settings don't stalemate 95% of the time, but then 5% of the time it's an 8-hour game. Do you put that in your tournament? Well, how much do you care about the stalemate? Things like that. So technical expertise in tournament design is something, I think the legal term is a bona fide job criteria. What are the standards by which we elect our representatives? We ask them questions about why they would be good to make these decisions. So what are, here's, I'm doing the Socratic method, but I'm asking you a question on your question, right? What are the bona fide job criteria of our politicians? What are we electing them on? Waving on a corner and kissing babies. We are electing them on popularity, right? I can say I am qualified to run this nation because of what exactly? Why is Justin Trudeau the most qualified person to run our nation? He was elected because he's popular. the the learned helplessness of people assuming that direct democracy um, wouldn't or couldn't work is a symptom of a lifetime of propaganda, right? You have been programmed to run this against nonsense. So the fair criticism of digital direct democracy is that the media would have a lot more power to determine messaging than it already does, which is massive. Fair criticism. The upside is that in the current system we have, we are certainly being robbed. So I would prefer to not choose thieves. Yes, reps are elected on the basis of how well they kiss babies and kiss hands and shake babies. Funny. Okay, so that is the salient difference in my mind, is that if we selected representatives on some sort of criteria, and instead of selecting representatives, we selected administrators on some kind of bona fide criteria, we would end up with a more free world that would have a different set of problems. It would not be an ideal world. It would not solve all the problems, but it would be a different set of problems and a more honest one in the sense that at least my expectation is I'm not being robbed blind like I currently am. Let's move on. Dynamic Pupil would like to know, hey, Pete, just watching your no deal round 1. I like your comments about trusting the community and especially GMs to a higher standard of trust. If more content creators stream/record their games, is there any collaborative content in your future? Do a jump cut between yourself, Mallory, JJ, if all three of you are in the same game. Would be interesting, especially in Fog, to compare the inferences and strategy of multiple great players in a single game. Is that a project you endeavor to start? I like the idea. Now that I have a second YouTube channel, another thing I'm going to start up again is that podcast, is the Waiting on Your Best Behavior podcast, which has been on hiatus for too long because the YouTube numbers are lousy. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it on the second channel where I'm just going to do whatever I want to do and let the numbers let the chips fall as they may. So I'm really looking forward to starting the podcast again. And if I do podcast with folks who stream or record YouTube, we can do some cuts between. I think that would be very interesting. Great idea. Okay. I believe that all digital direct democracy would accomplish over a representative system is increase the number of thieves. Well, then, all I have to say to you, Ace Trainer Cassiopeia, is enjoy your slavery. Torrents Boy, hi Pete, new to the server. What advice would you give your 20-year-old self? Love your videos. I talked about this the other day too. The most important advice I would give any previous version of myself. I used to be very emotional. I used to suffer from chronic depression. And the thing is, this is the lesson, right? And I've definitely said this on the show before, but it bears repeating. What advice would I give to my 20-year-old self? How you feel right now doesn't matter nearly as much as you think it does. So in a year's time, if you're having the best day or the worst day of your life, in a year's time, your emotional state will be at baseline. So the current, take your emotions for what they are, integrate them into your being, process them, but do not allow yourself to be subsumed by them. How you feel doesn't matter in the same way or at the same level of importance than you would have thought it does. Maybe when you were a younger person, right? It's very much a well, there's also data on this, that says folks who Generally speaking, the self-reports of people in each concurrent decade of life is increased levels of happiness, right? You're happier in your 30s than you are in your 20s. You're happier in your 40s than you are in your 30s, and so on. Now, why do you suppose that is? A lot of it has to do with wisdom and maturity and learning how to live with yourself as yourself. And also, I think when you think about how something like that would evolve, what are our emotions for, right? We use them as motivation. And I think it's very important to be really motivated when you're young, right? If you're a passionate kid, you're going to work really hard and you're going to learn a lot. Rather than being blasé, and then hopefully, right? We're motivated as humans both by positive and negative emotion. At least most of us are. So incorporating those emotional valences into our being is essential for growth as a human. And great question. Max in reverse would like to know, has Pete ever done a setup tour? I have not. I have absolutely not. I might, but I'm not really handy with the technology, so I wouldn't have much to say. Thank you, Lasers94, with the tier 1 sub. Thank you so much. I appreciate the support. You guys always make me so grateful to be here for you. It's really special. Thank you guys. I Shadow. Hi, Pete. I'm from the UK, and I really enjoy watching your videos, especially the tournaments. As you and others are great teachers of the game, I was wondering if you like this idea to spotlight new up-and-comers. Would you consider doing an Apprentice tournament whereby a handful of top Grandmasters who stream select an Apprentice from their chat at random to guide them through the tournament? To make it fair, the GMs could select each other's random Apprentice from their chat. Could also do several rounds of different styles to make it more challenging and test your teaching capabilities to the max. You could also have a round where the GMs and the Apprentice battle out in 2v2 to make amazing educational content, especially if you show the training session between the tourney rounds. What do I think? Sounds complicated. How would I implement this? So my issues are that I'm a giant time choke to my own work. So if something like that existed for me, if somebody did all the administrative load and set it up for me, then yeah, I could participate in it. But I have absolutely no ability to organize something like that. That's basically my answer. Great idea. And you know me, I love competing. I love exploring all the creative types of risk competitions and educational content. So if there is a type of show that I could make that I haven't explored, I'm very interested to do so. Thank you, Leona, for the biddies. What's this? We have not had a choo-choo yet. We're chewing on the biddies. Danny Tudix. Thank you. Thank you, guys. Hype trade incoming, folks. Oh, I'll need another cup of coffee for that one. Ooh-wee. Oh, baby. Now it's going off. Now it is popping off in here. Call staff, thank you for the biddies. Danny Tudix with the cheering. Afro Ninja with the gift subs. Thank you, guys. Thank you so much. Really keep me going, don't ya? With all of the support. I love you, folks. Thank you so much for helping me out. Keeps me going, keeps me doing this work. Our next question is from The Bull, and he asks a doozy. I'm sure this was top of mind for The Bull. When was this? Last week? Yeah, last Sunday. Not most recently, but the week before. Pete, because Bull, as our tournament organizer, would have just been swamped by things to do. And I'm so impressed by you, Bull. For a younger guy, he's extremely productive. He's extremely efficient. He's extremely wise for a younger guy. Bull doesn't say or do too much stupid shit, at least, or zero to that point, right? As far as I can tell. And you've always been very kind to me. So thank you, Bull, and thank you for all that you do. Pete, how do you stay motivated? There is a lot of stuff that I want to do, and those things take time. So I start doing them, and I just give up due to lack of motivation. Then days, weeks, or months later, I get motivated again. I just repeat the whole process. Danny with the gift subs. Thank you, Danny. Thank you so much. We want to do a stretch for Saxo Boomer? Oh, I missed the question from the master. Do I like chess? I love chess, but I'm not any good at it. All right, here's what we're going to do. I'm going to do some stretches. You guys feel free to stretch along with me, and I will think about motivation, and then I will answer Bull's question. All right, so what keeps me motivated? Thank you, Vastflam, with the Prime sub. Thank you so much. What keeps me... Pete, how do you stay motivated? That's the question. I don't know if you guys are going to like my answer, but I'll answer it honestly. I am motivated I'm very ambitious. I believe that God, or whatever powerful universal entity you want to use that word for, it's not a great word. I believe that God put me here in the world to accomplish something. Discover what my purpose is. I believe I have a destiny, and I'm trying to fulfill it. And I'm trying to work as hard as I possibly can to fulfill it. So, but why am I so ambitious? Why am I driven? Well, I've always been cognizant of the passage of time. And it's not a morbid thought, it's a motivating thought. I think that, I'm almost 40, right? My life is half over. So if I'm ever going to be the man that I know I can be, that I dream to be, that I aspire to be, I have to do it now. Right? I have to do it now, right on this moment. Otherwise, it will never happen. I spent so much of my life waiting for something to magically happen, which I know is very incongruent with my discussions of determinism and destiny. But it was only when I started working really hard and making I've worked for myself my entire adult life. And that's a super empowering thing. There's a lot of risk to it. Like, if I'm not successful, I don't eat. So part of what keeps me motivated, Bull, is necessity. I don't want to be poor, right? I don't want to be destitute. So I have to work very hard in order to have that kind of minimum standard of living that I aspire to have. As a younger guy, you're not necessarily perceptive to that, to necessity as a motivator yet. But you will be, because I know you, and I know you also have great things in your future. And I'm sure that you can accomplish whatever you want to accomplish. And if you're not really doing that, then you might just not want it. Have a good day, Pete. I'm off to engage in wage slavery. Be well, man. Take it easy. I think you have the potential, Bull, and I think we all have the potential to decide to go after what we really want. We might not be able to decide what we want. We just have desire. But you can choose to seek it. And I think your job as a younger guy is to experience as much of the world as you can experience so you have a better sense of what you actually want. Whereas my job, so I was a generalist. This is why, people are reasonably impressed that I can play Jeopardy, right? I know a little bit about a lot because I'm interested in a lot, and I always have been. So I've always approached the world as a generalist, but I find myself now in a situation where I've hyper specialized on one thing. I'm really good at risk. Okay, let's see how far this goes. If I put all of my energy into risk, I put, can I be one of the best players in the world? Can I help build this community? Can I help build the tournament scene? Can I build a YouTube channel, right? And wow, beyond my wildest dreams, this is successful. Hey, thank you, Mr. Splatula, for the raid. Welcome in, Splatula viewers. How are you doing today, sir? It's a kitchen raid. Hide your snacks. Welcome, folks. Yeah, so I love the question about motivation because it's deep and you can really go on and on about it. But, necessity is the mother of invention, as they say. And I need to be successful. That's part and parcel what keeps me going. Our next question is from Freefall. Following on Bull's question regarding mental health and loving yourself, if you have had a bad day, regression of thoughts, etc., you have a process for dealing with that to put yourself in a positive mindset. And would you share it with us? Yes, I do. Thank you, Matthew Wapp, for the sub. Thank you so much. So, the big light bulb moment for my mood, there's two. Let's go over, these are key. So, mental health, I talk about, I had to learn how to stop hating myself. So how did I do that? Well, I asked myself the question, Pete, why do you hate yourself? And I asked myself that question for 8 months every day, and I meditated on it. I thought about, why do I hate myself? I shouldn't hate myself. That makes no sense. And that's correct. It turns out I shouldn't hate myself because that makes no sense. It is a paradoxical belief. It is illogical. So if you are living inside of a paradox, there is a real emotional, biological cost to that belief. And I know where that belief comes from, right? I think I inherited it as a child from the way I was raised. So I understand where the belief comes from. And then I finally got the answer. Why do you hate yourself, Pete? I hate myself because I know what I should be doing and I don't do it. And as soon as I came to that realization, the solution was easy and obvious. Get to work. So for me, happiness is emergent from working really hard at something and seeing the progression to the big picture goal, as opposed to reaching that goal. I'm pretty sure that is true for most people as well. So the process of trying to, now the depression still exists. I still suffer from malaise, melancholy. It arises, but now that I'm aware of what it is an addictive process. And when it arises, I think about it as, oh, you again. I don't have any more time for you. I'm done with you. When I feel the depression knocking at the door, I no longer let it in. I say, no, you are not going to be a part of my being anymore. I choose to be a man who loves himself. When did I have that realization? So I met Madre. I had grandmother. The ayahuasca spirit is referred to as grandmother. I sat with Mother Ayahuasca the first time, say about 5 years ago, just a little bit less than 5 years ago. And it has been a very transformative experience for my physical and mental health. I've had a lot of experiences, positive experiences with psychedelics in regards to how they improve your mental health. We know we have a lot of good data coming out about psilocybin that works for chronic depression. And the thing about ayahuasca was it forced me to realize things about myself that I just could not look away from. And as soon as I As soon as as soon as you see it, you can't unsee it, sort of thing. I was forced to confront the logical paradox of hating myself. I was forced to ask myself the question. It's like, you know what, Pete? You probably don't want to be the type of person who thinks about killing themselves every day. You don't deserve that. And I'm not anymore. So I fixed it. At least for me. I'm much happy. Did I do it with a shaman? Yes, absolutely. I did not sit alone. I sat ceremonially in group, in silence. Do we do cold showers and cold plunges? No. Wim Hof. It sounds interesting, man. The cold stuff sounds interesting, but I just can't do it yet. I don't have that kind of strength. I hate being fucking cold. So I'm very much a hot person, right? This is why I love Singapore. And why I'm so pissed off at Toronto in the winter. I'm good with hot, right? I'm very much I prefer hot over cold. So, do it. You'll love it. All right. I'll give it a chance, man. I'll give it a chance. Pete, love the YouTube. Welcome in, guys. Welcome in. I hope that answered your question, Freefall. Really good questions by the Bull and Freefall. I love talking about this stuff. Important to consider, guys, when you are thinking about mental health is that, with mental health specifically, it's very much the type of thing that gets solved through conversations. And someone out there loves you. And if you have someone you trust, have someone you can talk to about this stuff. The realization that I hated myself wasn't even one I came to on my own. It was a very brilliant friend of mine who asked me that point blank. He's just like, Pete, why do you hate yourself? And I was just like, oh God, he's right. Good stuff, guys. Good stuff. Okay. Our next question is from Snow Moose. Aside from actual updates, what quality of life things would you like added to Risk? We spoke about having a number underneath your name that corresponds to your free-for-all rank, assuming that the ranking system would be updated as well in terms of distributing skill points fairly and not punishing players for playing. I would turn off the default camera animations for new players so that they are not at a speed handicap. I would turn off the speed blocks on PC and mobile so we can move as fast as we can think. I would turn off the manual dice animations so you could pop dice at TR at lightning speed and then calibrate exactly what you would want to end up with. Slow rolling shouldn't be slow. Can I get quick rolling? Can I get instant rolling? What other quality of life? Things that help the streamer, right? I don't know whose turn it is right now. I know it's Phil's turn, but I don't see Risky Phil right here. It should say Phil's turn when it's his turn, right? It pops up briefly up at the top right at the beginning of his turn. And it used to not be like that. It makes it less accessible for the viewer, right? I'm trying to make Risk content so I can help promote this game. So it's Bertalisk's turn, right? You see that for a split second at the top. If you miss it, you got to wait through everyone's next turn to know who the black player is. It's Bertalisk, but I don't know that. Where can I see Bertalisk? Things like that. And I have a ton of list of this stuff, but, we got to pick our battles. We got to pick our battles. We got to work together with the suggestion. We can't inundate SMG with noise. It has to be all signal at this point, guys. I need you guys to help me consolidate the messaging. Because again, I do not want it to be my message. I want it to be our message. Use me as the mouthpiece, right? Johnny says, sometimes I feel talking to a random person that you met that day and will never see again is ultimately decompressor. No expectations, only thoughts and questions. Yeah, but that can be hit or miss. I mean, you might have a more vibrant community where you are. Toronto, again, another big reason I'm trying to leave. Toronto, I find to be very spiritually toxic. People don't talk to each other. People aren't friendly. And they never have been. So, also, I get the sense, Johnny, that you're a lot more outgoing than the average. So you probably don't have much. You're very much an extrovert, and you're far on that spectrum. Okay, come live in Argentina. I'd love to check it out. I'm trying to go check out a bunch of places now and figure out, you know, maybe there's another place in the world that calls me. I've lived here my entire life, right? I've lived in essentially 2 houses my entire life, so it's time. It says friendly down here, and I may be very outgoing. Yeah, I knew it. Argentina is cheap. I don't speak Spanish, but I don't think that would be a big detriment for me. I could probably figure that one out. Yeah, we're still thinking about it. Anyways, good questions by Snow Moose. Those are the types of QOL updates that Risk, I think, would do well to implement when and if they can. Because, right, with limited resources, we really, really do have to pick our battles. All right. Our next question is from Kashektik. Always fun to say. Kashektik would like to know, hey, Pete, with being Mr. Risk at the moment on most well-known platforms, have any big sponsors reached out to you? The reason I ask is because you ever see any sponsor settings setting up a Risk tourney IRL. Okay. Currently, I have a couple of sponsorships from Skillshare. We've done a few streams. I'm really grateful for Skillshare. I think they're awesome. And it's something I'm happy to promote. And the rest of that stuff is for Drew. Drew is helping me a ton with sponsorships, and I think it's also very much on his radar that Drew is aware of and looking to find sponsors for tournaments. And I think that'd be super cool, right? If we have the prizing sponsored by, you know, whatever online entity, as opposed to crowdfunding it from the community. I think that would be the way of the future. And then, of course, yeah, an IRL Risk tournament would be super cool as well. Okay. Throw on one more video. Do this one. What? Hey, you get out of here, Pete. Nobody wants to talk to you. All right. How do I... First thing I'll do is I have to turn off the chat because that would be overwhelming. Now we're going to watch the old chat, and we're going to make large Peteman block out the original Peteman. Or do you guys want to do double Peteman? What do you guys like? I am reacting to myself. Do you want to do double Peteman, or you want to do one big Peteman? Mr. Cookies, when listening to what made you motivated at work, it seems you always have some kind of moment where you tell yourself something and it resolves everything. It scrolled away. Where you tell yourself something that resolves everything. Do you have an advice for those who tell themselves what they want to be and their will just doesn't follow afterwards? No, I don't have advice for that. My will is, this might be a personality thing, right? The reason I'm a great entrepreneur is I happen to be very high conscientiousness and very high openness, right? So I am both conservative and liberal. I'm both creative and administrative simultaneously. I happen to embody both sides of that, right? So which is why it's always been really hard for me to fit in anywhere, because I can and tend to hold multiple simultaneous positions at the same time, because I'm bivalent. So for me, the willfulness was never an option, right? The willfulness is, no, fuck you, me first, right? Like I'm unapologetic about that, but it's not fuck you, me first. It's me first, but you can win too, right? It's always win-win if possible. I need to win. This is my primary motivator, the willfulness, whatever you want to call it, right? I'm very, fuck you, Kyle. You guys can't see the chat, but he's trolling me right now. The willfulness for me is a non-negotiable. It's always been my way. I pass everyone in traffic just about. I want to be at the front of the line. I want to win. I want to win that Risk tournament. It doesn't matter what gets in my way. And yeah, sometimes you lose, but the desire to be the best at whatever I'm really passionate about, that is an unwavering characteristic of Pete. So unfortunately, I don't actually have the ability to give you advice on a lack of will, but I will say to you, I would love to have more. I would love to be even more disciplined, right? I would love to wake up at the exact same time every day, go to sleep at the exact same time every day, eat the exact perfect food, sit in my sauna for 30 minutes, do an hour of fucking cardio, do weights, right? Or like, and 20 minutes of meditation, or do absolutely everything I could do. I would love to live that life. So as far as I can tell you, I don't think I'm willful enough, right? I think I'm lazy. But it's a great question. Okay. Let's see where we are at. Our next question is from Crazy Pilot. Hey, Pete, I saw you reacted to 2 videos last Q&A. There's this thing on YouTube called React content. Basically, streamers reacting to videos, I'm aware, and pausing to give their opinion. It's often my favorite part of a stream. I get to enjoy the person streaming for who they are and for what they really think. I especially love these because I can get new perspectives on things and open my views to the world. I always love your responses when responding to Q&As. Your interest for philosophy is especially enlightening. If you have time to do, I feel like a segment of the show where you react to community-voted videos would be super interesting. What do you think? Totally down. Don't need to have it as a formal structure. If there's something that you or anyone listening would like me to react to, post it in the Q&A, and we will get to it in sequence. There's your answer. I'm down. Let's do it. Kyle says he's got something. Oh, you better not. Better not be a Rickroll. Is it going to be a Rickroll? All right, Kyle, give me it. Give it to me. It was what he knew. It's for later. All right, buddy. He's still in troll mode. Yes. The answer to your question, Crazy Pilot, is yes. Let's do it. Throw up whatever you want to throw up. And it's porn. Yeah, we won't be reacting to that. Our next question is from King in Canada. Hate to make you return to this topic so soon, but I was struck by a definition you've adopted, contrary to a vocal segment of your audience. And I'm curious to explore, as I have such appreciation for language, its use and evolution. Cool. I wonder if by accepting the term toxic masculinity, one is not attaching a label to the whole Venn diagram, but implying that a healthy masculinity inherently must exist. One must exist if the other does. How can we know light without defining darkness? Great question. Okay. This is an important philosophical rule. Okay, check it out, guys. I'm going to educate you about a topic called the Hegelian dialectic. So, postulated by Georg Wilhelm Friedrich Hegel, a German philosopher, the Hegelian dialectic is defined as an interpretive method in which the contradiction between a proposition, thesis, and its antithesis is resolved at a higher level of truth, synthesis. Okay? Thesis, antithesis, synthesis. What does this mean in plain English? It means that we can often only understand things by their opposite. And he used the example of the Hegelian dialectic in the question, where the questioner says, how do you understand the light without defining darkness? I don't know, King in Canada, if you are familiar with Hegel's work on this subject, but good versus evil, right? These real categorical dichotomies that we use to understand the universe are ubiquitous, and it is a structure to how we think. So you are touching on something very important in philosophy. And yes, your point is well met that the criticisms of something can often be understood by its opposite. Okay, our next question is from A. Callan. Has probably missed it if you were solicited for your dev stream, but if you see this, we'd love to hear the dev's perspective on adding a battle pass to the way to monetize. I don't think they're comfortable talking about monetization. Modifying the ranking system. We did talk about that. And you're echoing Mioi's point about discouraging stalemates and uber turtling, activity thresholds, yes. And any reworks to Capital Conquest. That actually came up. I think they're currently in a state where there is no reworking of caps. People who liked caps like it the way it is, and we're going to stick with that for now at least. But, SMG is always open to using the Risk Ideas channel for feedback in the future. And that seems to be our angle of attack, so we'll stick with that. Okay. Our next question is from Tunin. Hello, Pete. My apologies for the flawed question. You don't have to apologize for anything, bro. Please don't worry about. Just speak freely. I will do my best to make sense in the future. Yeah, me too. I'll try my best to make sense, right? Reference: getting excommunicated because of sinning for the greater good of morality. My question: do humans need faith? Ooh. If not in a deity, then perhaps an ideological creed. Personally, I believe humans need time to mature and accept the world for what it is. What are your thoughts? I don't connect the predicate. I don't see the connect. So he says, do humans need faith? My answer, I wouldn't use the word need. I would say that faith is an inextricable element of humanity. So it's not as much of a need as it is simply the case. We have faith, and we act as if we have faith. So I'll give you a perfect example. Okay? Here's my perfect example. What is the definition of atheism? Okay? Let's look it up. Atheism. The literal definition of atheist is a person who does not believe in the existence of God. Okay? I hate to burst the bubble of any atheist listening, but a person who does not believe in God is taking a position of faith. The agnostic position says, I do not know whether or not there is a God. Now, you don't have to hard disagree. This is a, what's it called? This is a semantic definition, right? It's the agnostic position says, I do not know whether or not there is a God, which is not a position of faith, right? It is an honest admission that you lack information. The atheist position is there is no God. If you say there is no God, you are making a statement that you know something, but you don't have evidence to know that, and the lack of evidence makes it faith-based. It's just faith-based in the opposite, right? It is the exact same leap of faith as anyone who does believe in God. Both are the equivalent faith-based argument. You don't have evidence to prove God, you will never. You don't have evidence to disprove it either. You will never. So, cutting back around to the question is, do humans need it? I think it's just the way we're wired. So, the more you learn about physics, we don't actually perceive the universe the way the universe is. The universe is just a soup of molecules vibrating around us at different energetic valences, right? But you don't perceive that. You perceive this mic as if it's solid, and you perceive the air as if it is invisible. But your ability to perceive the universe isn't a perfect model. It is a contextual model for what works for you, right? As an organism to survive. We need to see the spectrum of color that we see. We need to taste food so we know it's not poisonous. We need to XYZ things because we are, an ape in a meat bag, and we live and die. So because of all of that, we operate on faith a lot more than I think people realize, right? You have faith that the sun will rise tomorrow. You have faith that when you reach your hand out and grab something, that it's going to grasp it and you're going to pull it back, right? And if at any, and this is another one of those times where experimentation and learning a psychedelic perspective can give you a completely different angle on reality, because we have in our minds what is called the default mode network. And what the default mode network is, it is essentially the thing that keeps you on task. But certain psychedelics suppress your brain activity. So if your default mode network is shut down, what you are doing is you are perceiving more sensory stimuli in the moment. And it is a very, very out there experience if you guys ever have access to. There are more and more places where psychedelics are becoming legal. I think we can get psilocybin mushrooms in Toronto now legally, which I think is a tremendous benefit for public health. I think people need these substances, can benefit from these substances without having to fall victim to the addictive cycle of pharmaceutical drugs. And that's not to say some people don't need those drugs too. They're very useful as a pattern break if you're suffering from severe mental illness. Also, caveat here, I am not a doctor, so I'm not prescribing anything. I'm an idiot talking on the internet, playing video games. I just tell you what I believe to be true and what has worked for me. Always open to being wrong, and I often am. But caveat to all of that, I have come to a place with faith where I have integrated it into who I am. I don't need to I don't need to know things to be true for certain in order to act like they matter. Kyle has something to say. Agnostic and atheism are not mutually exclusive. You can be any combination of Gnostic, agnostic, and theist, atheist. There are very few people who claim to be a Gnostic atheist, which would be the group that does not believe but also claims there is no God. The majority of atheists are agnostic atheists who do not believe, but also admit they don't know. So I'm using the definition of the term wrong according to the way you mean the words. This is why, again, I talk about this a lot with philosophy. The semantic problem with philosophy is oftentimes, particularly a person in my seat, right, trying to use the best fit but slightly less technically accurate definition of any word, ends up bogged down in multiple paragraphs of minutia because of misunderstandings. And I think the medium that you use to this is exactly why I won't ever this is why I will avoid Twitter kicking and screaming, despite the fact that it would be probably a benefit to the myriad social media conglomerate that I am building, is because Twitter can make even really, really smart people sound stupid. He says Twitter's in my future. Yeah, well, you're probably right, dude. I am on Instagram, folks. Shout out to Instagram. Check it out, ladies and gentlemen. The old Peteman has finally decided come to the dark side. If you would like to join my Insta, Drew has been twisting my arm and we finally got it done. So, can I, how do I show you guys the, I'm so bad at this stuff. Why can't I do anything on the internet, man? It's Kill Pete Strategy at Instagram. Go check it out. No command. We'll get it. He's, no, he asked me to, do a community post. So the things we are promoting today, as the show is now winding down, sign up for the Classic Tournament if you're interested in playing Classic Risk. Log in to the game if you're just coming into the chat now. Log into the game, get your free Purrfection dice. And finally, go check out Kill Pete Strategy on Instagram. I do like photography. I can take some cool pictures, so maybe I'll take some cool pictures. It'll probably be less, yo, look at how cool I am and how cool my life is, and probably more like art style. Ooh, Bartreef! Do we have a karaoke request from Bartreef? We'd also like some push-ups from Caesar. Let's do some push-ups now. Name the song. I get to pick? Oh, no, he gets to pick. Yeah, yeah. Okay. Where are we at? Yeah, I think we got to the bottom of the faith thing. My short answer to you is that we are always operating from an imperfect model. So questions of epistemology, right? I'm a Cartesian skeptic. I don't actually believe anything other than, right? Descartes said, cogito ergo sum, right? I think, therefore I am. So beyond knowledge, true knowledge of your own existence, you don't actually know anything else to be true. You could be being deceived, and you probably are. So all that to say, we operate on faith almost 100% of the time, and we assume that bedrock reality exists somewhere in the mix, but we don't know for sure that it does. Okay. Our next question is from Banjo Brad. Hello, Pete. I got recommended your video and channel and got me into the game. I'm now about 4K points from GM, and I often find myself missing an exterior position when I go for kills. Is there anything I can do to help prevent tunnel vision? Ooh. It has happened to me, but not often. I'm guessing you're visualizing wrong. This will, I figure this will come a lot with practice. So when you're, I'm assuming you're also not playing in fog. We're talking about you're just misvisualizing the game, right? So when you're trying to path your kills out, the best thing you can do is be thinking on other people's turns, not your own. Because your turn, your clock is simply for execute, right? This is a big one. So a good principle for risk in general, folks, if you adopt this. Other people's turns are for thinking about your strategy. Your turn is for executing it. The longer inside of your own turn you are spending thinking about what you're going to do, the less time you're going to have to execute it, and the more likely you're going to fuck it up. Use other people's turns for planning, and then here's another little piece of advice for you that I use, and I'm sure other great players use this heuristic as well. Always have a default plan and then be able to have a backup if circumstances change. You guys often hear when I'm planning up prog kills, I'm like, okay, I kill this guy if he has these cards, but if not, I do this other thing. Because you're going to expect your opponents, the better you can read your opponents, the better you can expect what they're going to do. You're going to expect them to play to whatever their skill level is. And sometimes they're going to make mistakes, but sometimes they're going to play correctly. But either way, you should be ready. Like, I'll give you an example. The finals I won, right? Drew liked that pick. Drew liked that pick when he was controlling my computer when we were setting up the Instagram. It's a nice pick, Kyle. You can go on his Instagram. You get to see him with his shirt off. Damn it. Now I got derailed from what I was talking about. Oh, the finals. Yeah. So the finals I won, I was sure UTG had it because he did. He just made a technical error. But as soon as he did make the error, I was like, oh, he fucked up. Brain reset. How do I win this game? Right? You're always asking yourself, how do I win this game? How do I win this game? And then the sub question is, how do I not lose? Which is why you guys often hear me say so frequently on the show, like, I'm dead. I die now. Right? I'm dead. But then someone fucks up, and I'm not dead. Similarly, in this situation, right? Under the Gun had the win. He made one tiny pathing error that ended his game. And threw it to me instead. And I had to be able to have that plan ready to execute on my turn, because on your own turn, you just gotta move, right? I find it unsettling how perfectly balanced Earth's orbit is compared to both limits of my climate. Is that something I should worry about or just go with it? Interesting. I mean, thank you, I Pixie, for the sub. You encourage me to think in a much more open-ended way, as well as take care of my body while I sit at my computer. Much thanks. You're very welcome. That's what I'm going for. I learned so much by talking to you guys, right? So, as I always like to remind people, imagine that I'm just a selfish person and I'm trying to benefit me. And if I can benefit you guys along the way, then that's win-win, and that's a beautiful thing. How perfectly balanced the orbit is compared to the limits of climate. So we evolved in this circumstance, right? We are best fit for this world. If we evolved in a different world, we would be best fit for that one. So it's not unsettling at all. It's serendipity. It is meant to be. Yeah, and as Zen Rabbit just says, it's not perfect. We're fine-tuned to it, and millions of years ago, things were totally different. Yep. And organisms were adapted to that environment at that time. All right, our next question is from A. Callan. If you're not playing Fog, try adding up your targets. Oh, he's answering the question. He says if you're not playing Fog. Yeah, this is not, the answers are for Peachman, not for you, sir. You are the askers, and I am the answerers. I am the answers. Okay, our next question is from Schlong McLong. Schlong, the Schlong McLong. All right, hey Pete, I'm working on my thesis in philosophy and classics. Enjoy your career mowing lawns. I know I did. And wanted to see your take on the general idea I'm investigating. If God is an infinite being and has all possible attributes, therefore, oh no, I'm not reading this. Oh, I'm not reading that on the stream or YouTube. No way. Good one, sir. It was a great, it was a dick joke, folks. It was a very funny dick joke. All right. And TuneIn is adding to it. Okay, you got me. It was a very high level dick joke. It encompassed the entire universe, the size of this joke. Huge. Oh my God. This is what's happening to me, guys. This is what's happening. All right, I've enjoyed the Q&A, folks. I think that is where we ended for today. I'm going to do another game on stream, though, so stick around. And we'll say this is where the next Q&A starts. Yeah, folks, get your questions in. Throw them in the Kill Pete Strategy Discord Q&A. I can't necessarily answer all your questions in YouTube chat. I can't necessarily answer them all in Twitch chat. I try to get to as many as I possibly can, but this is the way that I've integrated it into my workflow. Check out Kill Pete Strategy at Instagram. It's not the Kill Pete Strategy because a bad actor took my name before I got to it and has not given it up. And sign up for the Classic Risk Tournament. It's going to be a blast. Good luck to those in round 2 of the GM tournament. Good luck to those in the exhibition round of Risk Legends. I'm really excited to be competing. I'm going to have a lot of fun with it. What else can I tell you guys? Log into Risk today. By the time this YouTube video is up, it will be too late. Log into Risk today to get the Purrfect dice and tell them Reggie and Jerry sent ya. I don't know if they stole it to be a jerk. I think they probably stole it just more for attention. The gentleman who gave me my TikTok actually took it to protect it for me and gave it to me after the fact. He's like, if you want your TikTok, I have it. And I registered it just so that no one else would, which was much appreciated. The reaction was worth it. No, I figured it would be. You got me, Schlong McLong. You got me. That was a spicy dick joke, sir. Well done. I'm proud of you. Proud of you and your classics and philosophy thesis. Just be careful you get yourself a paying job with that. Or at least don't go into hawk for it. That was Bagel's question. Hey, Pete, finally caught you live. Hope you're having a great day. I sure am. Spinoza inspired. All right, ladies and gentlemen, as I said, stick around on Twitch. We are done for YouTube. I hope you all enjoyed this video. I hope you found some of it fun and entertaining, maybe even a little bit educational and informative. If you are interested in getting better at the game of Risk, I invite you to subscribe to my channel. Come along the ride with me. A daily release on YouTube. I'm doing weekday streams at Twitch. Until next time, for all of you on the path to world domination, good games and good luck.